Hey, grade 11s. Today is the key to your review. Remember, as it says in the instructions, the work should be photographed and uploaded to the website. I won't be marking it. You're going to mark it right now. But I want the work uploaded so I can see that it was done. Okay? This will be just like in class when we marked an assignment. You'll follow along with me and you'll give yourself appropriate grades. Okay? So let's do this. So here we are on page 120. And let's go. Now remember, of course, there is more than one way to do a lot of these questions. So maybe I did it differently than you, but so then wait and check for the answer. All right? So in this first one, complete the square and identify the vertex and axis of symmetry for each. So I specifically asked you to complete the square. So let's do that. We remember this is y equals negative x squared plus 10x minus 18. Move the 18 over. Y plus 18 equals negative x squared minus 10x. Divide by 2, square it, plus 25. So negative 25 was added, so I add negative 25 over here. Y minus 7 equals negative x minus 5 squared. Y equals negative x minus 5 squared plus 7. Vertex 5, 7. Axis of symmetry, x equals 5. All of that gets you 2 marks. Same thing over here. Y plus 69 equals negative 2 x squared plus 12x plus 36, half of that squared. So I added negative 2 times 36 is negative 72. So y minus 3 equals negative 2 x plus 6 squared. Y equals negative 2 x plus 6 squared plus 3. My vertex is negative 6, 3, and x equals negative 6 is my axis of symmetry for 2 marks. Graph each equation, also for 2 marks each. Graph them. So, vertex is at positive 4, negative 3. So right there. It's a negative, so it's got to go downwards. The A is 1, so I go over 1, down 1, over 2, down 4. And there's my graph. 1 for knowing what to do with the algebra, 1 for actually graphing it. Over here, negative 3. Y-intercept is 0, and it's normal. Over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4. And it looks like that. Identify the vertex and max-min value, then sketch the graph. Also, 2 each. So the vertex here is a little harder to find, because I have the roots. Well, the roots are 0 and 3. What's halfway between 0 and 3? Because remember, one root, the vertex x equals, I can't remember what letters I use, so I'm just going to say root plus root divided by 2. So 3 plus 0 is 3, divided by 2 is 1.5. So x equals 1.5. Then I sub it back in there. So that's y equals 1.5 2 times 1.5 times 1.5 minus 3. So that equals 3. 1.5 minus 3 is negative 1.5. So that's negative 4.5. So my vertex equals 1.5, negative 4.5. Since A is positive, that's a minimum value. Minimum equals negative 4.5. 4.5. And it'll look like this. Come over to here. Root 1 is 1. Root 2 is 6. 1 plus 6 over 2 is 3.5. So my vertex x equals 3.5. My y equals 3.5 minus 1. 3.5 minus 6. So that's 2.5 times negative 2.5, which is negative 6.25. So 3.5 negative 6.25, and it looks like that. So I have a vertex of 3.5, negative 6.25, and I have a min equals negative 6.25. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 on the first page. Now I'm going to take a moment to let you have a look at that, add it up. Alright. Use the information provided to write the vertex form of each parabola. So we're going to, whatever we use to find it, we're going to need to convert it to vertex form if we don't know the vertex. Excuse me. So, let's look at this first one. Actually, I just want to do a quick count and see what I want to give for these in marks. Hold up a sec. Okay, I'm back. I want to give everything on this page 2. So this whole page is going to be out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 when we get down to it. Oh, thank you. My lovely bride just brought me coffee. It's needed. It's 6:52 in the morning. Right. So I've got the vertex and the y-intercept. So we remember vertex form is y equals a x minus p, or whatever letter I use, I can never remember, plus q. So what do I have here? I have a vertex, so y equals a x minus 7, x plus 7 squared plus 2. But I don't know what a is. However, I do know that the y-intercept is at 0, negative 145, which means I can put that in because that's an x and that's a y, and that's an x and that's a y. So I write negative 145 equals a 0 plus 7 squared plus 2. So let's solve this. Negative 145. 0 plus 7 is 7 squared. 49a plus 2. Take 2 away from both sides. Negative 147 equals 49a. And a equals negative 3. So the vertex form is final answer. Y equals negative 3, x plus 7 squared plus 2. That's worth 2 marks. Opens up or down. Ooh, that's kind of weird, but we'll come back to that in a minute. we remember we are starting with y equals a x minus p squared plus q. I have a vertex, I have an x, I have a y. So all I do, again, is fill it in. Y not y, idiot head. Negative 4, because that's y, equals a, x is 0, minus the vertex, 3, squared, plus the other vertex, 5. Bring the 5 over, it becomes negative. Negative 9 equals a times negative 3 squared. Negative 9 equals 9a, because negative squared is positive. A equals negative 1. So since a is negative 1, this opens. If it opens up or down, we know that it's going to be y equals plus or minus 1, right? Whichever one it is. Not a. X minus 3 squared plus 5. The plus or minus 1 shows me that you know that a positive would open up and a negative would open down. 2 marks. Same thing here. It's going to be a plus or minus a again, right? Because it's up or down, so it has to be a plus or minus a. And then it's really the exact same question. Y equal, I'm even going to skip the first step, because I know that's an x, that's a y, that's a vertex x, that's a vertex y. So the way I do it, the way I've been writing it, that's a p, that's a q. So 6 equals a 1 minus 0 squared plus 5. Bring that over. 1 equals a, because 1 minus 0 is 1, squared is 1, 1a. So we've got it. Y equals plus or minus a again, so plus or minus 1. X plus 0, so x squared plus 5. We don't need those brackets. Y equals plus or minus x squared plus 5. Now, if you left those brackets in there, even if you wrote plus 0, I'm still giving you a full mark, so it doesn't matter. This one, we have our vertex. We can see right there that our vertex equals negative 3, negative 3. And then I can choose any other point for an x and a y. I'm going to choose that one right there. So I have negative 2, negative 5. Then I just do the work. Negative 5 equals a x plus, not x, negative 2 plus 3 squared minus 3. Bring the 3 over. Negative 2 equals negative 2 plus 3 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 equals a. So there's our answer. Y equals negative 2 x plus 3 squared minus 3. And over here, here's our vertex at vertex equals negative 3. Sorry, I lie. 0, negative 3. My x and a y point, why don't I choose that one? Looks good. At 2, negative 4. Then I just fill it in as always. Negative 4 equals a 2 minus 0 squared minus 3. That comes over, becomes negative 1 equals 2 minus 0 squared is 4a. A equals negative 1/4. So our final answer, y equals negative 1/4 x squared minus 3. Again, you don't need the brackets. Y equals negative 1/4 x squared minus 3. But if you left the brackets, even if you wrote 0, it's fine. Pause for a second, let you count it up. And we move on. Now this says non-calculator, but of course there's no way I can prove you did it non-calculator, so it's no big deal. Everything is worth 1. So location of the vertex, 5, 10. Axis of symmetry, x equals 5. The range, those are the y values. If 10 is the vertex and it's negative, y has to be less than or equal to 10, which means my max, y equals 10. Graph the function. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Almost didn't do that right. Over 1 down 1, 2, 3. Because it's skinny, because it's got a negative 3. Over 2's got to go down. Should go down 4, but it's going to go down 12. 10, 11, 12. 2, 3, 4. And there's your graph. The y-intercept. There's lots of ways to find the y-intercept. The easiest way to find it, it is at 0y. So you fill in the graph. Y equals negative 3. 0 minus 5 squared plus 10. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. Times negative 3 is negative 75 plus 10. Y equals negative 65. And the x-intercepts exactly. That's a little bit hard on this one, actually. Because how do you find the roots? Well, the easiest way to find the roots is to use the quadratic formula. So y equals negative 3 x squared minus 10x plus 25 plus 10 negative 3x squared plus 30x minus 75 plus 10 negative 3x squared plus 30x minus 65. And then it's just quadratic formula. A, B, C. So x, that's because we're looking for the x-intercept, equals negative 30 plus or minus the root of 30 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 65 over 2 times negative 3. Now, if you left it like that, I'd still give you your full mark. No problem at all. But, of course, if you want to really do well, you should simplify that as much as possible. That's going to be negative 12 times negative 65. I've got to go to my calculator. 30 squared minus 4 times negative 3 negative 65 plus or minus 120 over negative 6, which is 120 is of course 2 times 60, which is 2 times 30, which is 2 times 15, which is 3 times 5. So I can take out 4. So it's negative 30 plus or minus 4 root 30 over negative 6, which you would of course simplify to negative 15 plus or minus 2 root 30 over negative 3. But you didn't have to do all that. If you got it to there, I'd give you full credit, even if you did that. All right, 1, 1, 1, graph the function. So I know, what do I know about that function right now? I know its roots. I know that it goes through -2 and +6. So -1, 2. Oh, I should move that because it's out at +6. Let's slide this over here. -2, +6, 2, 4, 6. I know it's a positive parabola, so it goes up and down. And so I know the vertex is right in the middle. So -2 plus 6 over 2 equals 4 over 2, which equals 2. So that's my vertex x. 2 right here. So my vertex x is 2. Then my vertex x equals 2. So vertex y equals 1/2 of 2 plus 2 times 2 minus 6, which is 1/2 of 4 times -4, which is 1/2 of -16, which is -8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So my vertex is at -2, 8. So now I can graph it. And state the y-intercept. The y-intercept is, of course, where x equals 0. So the y-intercept equals 1/2 of 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 minus 6 is -6. 2 times -6 is -12. Half of -6, -12 is -6. So my y-intercept is -6. Just making that whole page out of 10. I'll give you a moment. I'll have a sip of my coffee. And we move onward. All right. That's in standard form. There's a lot of ways you can get it into vertex form. You can complete the square. You can use vertex x equals -b over 2a. You have all kinds of options. You can find the roots and then use that to find the vertex. But what I'm going to do, because I've already done completing the square, I'm going to do vertex x equals -b over 2a, which equals 9 over -2, because that's -1 times 2. Now, I know that you all work better if we make that a decimal, but I'm not gonna. So then my vertex y is going to equal -9 squared minus 9 times -9 minus 18, which is -81 over 4 plus 81 over 2 minus 18, which is -81 over 4 plus 162 over 4 plus, now 18 is 72 over 4, which gives me 153 over 4 for a vertex. So y equals negative x plus 9/2 squared plus 153 over 4. Now, I just want to double check that. Hold up, give me a sec. Because I did all that in my head. Yeah. I added, idiot head. It's minus. So that's, minus, it's equals 9 over 4. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. 9 over 4. Okay, sorry about that. So whatever you did, that's where you should have ended up. So the vertex is at negative 9 halves, 9 fourths, which of course is negative 4.5, 2.25 if you were wussy and went to decimals. The axis of symmetry, x equals negative 9 halves. The range, since it's this type of parabola, y must be less than or equal to 9 fourths. That is a max at 9 fourths. Graph it. Now, the easiest way to graph this, I know you don't like it, is to leave it in fractions. So, negative 9 halves. So if each of these is a half on the x-axis, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right there. And I'm going to actually move my axis way over here because I'm over on the... you know what? One, 2, 3, 4 and a half, and negative 2 and a quarter, right there. Right? And then since it goes downwards, I'm just going to do that. Because that's the important part. State the y-intercept. We already know how to do the y-intercept because it's in standard form. So the y-intercept is negative 18. X-intercept exactly. There's none. Look, it started down here and it never touched the x-axis. I'm going to make that at a 2, but everything else at a 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on this page. And that's it. So the whole thing's out of 9. And that page was out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That page was out of 10. That's 19, 29, 39. So this whole thing's out of 41. So you're going to take a picture of it and show me your work. Now, I have made up for you this page, test reminders. So I'm going to leave it on here. So the quadratic formula, the discriminant, everything you need is on this page. That says roots. So have a look at it, give it a read. I'm going to let it sit for a while so you can read it out. And then I'll slide down a little more. There's the standard form stuff. You've already got this on a page earlier in the book, so that's why I'm putting it here. And there's the rules about A, right there. And lastly, because a couple of students who come to my meetings a lot and have been working really diligently, we're asking about word problems. So I'm going to do 2 word problems right here. You don't have these, so maybe you just want to watch. It's up to you. So this is the science one. Carbon in the air, A, can be modeled by this. All right, so that A is the same as Y, and that T is the same as X. So if you look here, really what we have is Y equals 0.3 X squared plus 0.1x plus 4.2. And I want to know, when will the carbon level equal 22? Well, isn't the carbon level A? And isn't A y? So 22 equals 0.3x squared plus 0.1 plus 4.2. Get that over there. Y equals 0.3x squared plus 0.1x. Now 4.2 minus 22 is negative 17.8. So let me double check because it's early. 4.2, calculator's not working. Well, 4 minus 22 is negative 18. Yeah, negative 17.8. So there now is A, B, C. And you can use that to find the roots. So you would put that into the quadratic formula. And remember, that's going to give you a positive and a negative root, probably. Could the negative root be possible? Can we go back in time? No. So the answer is the positive root. So you would fill it in as negative 0.1 plus or minus the root of, and then you'd fill the rest in. You know how to do that part. The hard part is setting it up, as my students were saying. Sports Check sells jackets, $90, 90 jackets, $275 each. In the spring, they drop the price and sell 5 more jackets. So the question would be, what price maximizes profit? So right now, Sport Check is selling jackets. Now, you're smart kids. Profit must equal jackets sold times the price, correct? All right, so y, and our x's are over here. Y must equal some amount of jackets sold times a price, right? So that must be, now what happens if they drop the price by $15? They sell 5 more jackets. So if I do x minus 15, then I sell 5 more jackets, don't I? Right? Now, what if I do x minus 2 times 15? Then what am I going to do? Then I will sell x plus 2 times 5 jackets, right? I'll sell double the amount of jackets. So how do I turn that into an equation that works for me? Y equals y equals, how many jackets did I sell? 90 jackets plus 5x and 275 minus 15x. So if I do 1 drop of 15 in price, 275 minus 15 times 1, I'm going to sell 90 jackets plus that 1 times 5. So there is a quadratic formula. If you expand that, if you do FOIL there, you're going to get an ax squared plus bx plus c. You're going to get a quadratic formula, and then you can find the roots and the vertex and everything. This was a really long video, so I'm going to stop it there. Your test is upcoming. I can't remember exactly when, but I think I have it scheduled for after Tuesday's meeting, so you can ask me about this. But I can't exactly remember, so watch the stream. Have a good weekend, everyone.